PWIM, or Picture Word Inductive Model. If you have been teaching English to multilingual learners or even a world language class, you have at least heard about this super effective and productive method that has been used for all levels of language proficiency, but is especially helpful with those fresh new newcomers, beginners, and live kiddos. In our language teaching community, there is a variety of versions of PWIM that have been discussed, and some of them are very popular, and I am going to offer you my brief overview of those most known versions of Picture Word Inductive Model. And of course, they all have at least one thing in common, which is using a detailed image in the name of language production, language development. And I'm also going to show you my spin-off on the Picture Word Inductive Model and share my step-by-step algorithm that has become my go-to tool when it comes to bringing juicy content and new vocabulary in my language development sessions. Let's do it. The original Picture Word Inductive Model method was introduced by Emily Calhoun in 1999. She used pictures to help students develop vocabulary, reading, and writing skills. First, students observe a picture and identify objects, actions, and details. Teacher, at the same time, labels these words on a big picture on the wall. After that, students would categorize, sort, and use the words to form sentences and paragraphs. Finally, the inductive learning comes from the idea that students build understanding from specific observations, which would be the picture, to general concepts, which would be the language structures. Two of some of the more popular versions of PWIM are described by Valentina Gonzalez and Larry Ferlazzo. Valentina recommends focusing on parts of speech and building sentences as well as writing inferences. Valentina has several videos posted on her YouTube channel where she offers a detailed tutorial of her take on Picture Word Inductive Model. But I do want to mention that I especially enjoy the way she color codes parts of speech as she and her students are labeling the original picture. In their book, The ELL Teacher's Toolbox, Larry Ferlazzo and his co-author, Katie Hall-Sipneski, give a detailed description of a week-long process of using Picture Word Inductive Model. They really do comprehensive vocabulary work. They also do a great job explaining that inductive piece in this method. Now let me share with you my version of the Picture Word Inductive Model, which you will see in a minute is sort of like a hybrid of the versions that I have mentioned, but it also has components that are not part of those versions. The inspiration for this spin-off came from my own spin-off of the I see, I think, I wonder strategy that I shared with all of you on my channel during the pandemic times, where I first choose a very intriguing, capturing picture that I know is going to pique my students' curiosity right away and thus build the drive for learning. After my students work with the picture, I bring in the text that actually comes with this picture and explains what's happening. It's not an artificially put together text, it's the original article or story that came along with that picture. So this way, these two components, picture and text, work beautifully together. The picture works as a way to get my students enthusiastic about learning and also helps build vocabulary and background for the text that is about to come. And then the text tells the students what in the world is happening in this picture, and my students are excited to learn these curious facts that they first saw in the picture, and we're trying to guess what was happening in there. My other inspiration comes from the writing revolution. You will see how I involve this little gem in my version of the Picture Word Inductive Model. Here is my free algorithm. I've made a lot of updates since I originally created it, shaved off the extra fluff, so you have this final product that is easy to implement with little to no prep. You will also have the same algorithm with these blue word bubbles that contain my logistics tips. All you need to do really is to find a detailed image that is accompanied by a short text. Your best bet for finding a detailed, curious picture would be the NewYorkTimes.com and their series called What's Going On in This Picture. The beauty of this is that they have already done the job for us and found these capturing images, and then they also provide you with the reveal, the text that explains what's happening here. But sometimes I prefer images that I find on social media, like Facebook, for example. About 2-3 years ago, I started putting them all together in my group called Alyona's ELL Class Life on Facebook. All you have to do is to type the hashtag PWIM in search, and you will see all of the pictures that I have shared in my group for this very activity. Sometimes I like them more because the texts that come with these images are usually shorter and easier, and I even sometimes don't have to scaffold them. The next step for you would be to display the picture on your whiteboard or on the wall and allow students to label the image with you following the classical PWIM, where you identify objects, actions, adjectives, and then other details. I love doing this because all level students can participate. It involves speaking, and if you have them write right away, it also involves writing. Let me show you what it looks like for us in the classroom. This is me doing it on the whiteboard, and I encourage my newcomers who don't know a lot of English words to say words in their native language, and together as a class we figure out what they are or use Google Translate. This way everybody participates. This job looks a little bit cleaner because I did this on a Google slide, but it is faster to write with markers on the board. For the next step, you will have your students create sentences using the labels from this step. They can write in their notebooks, they can write on the back of the picture, but I also have put together my daily templates. These templates already have the sentence frames, sentence starters, and they have clues for which words to use after, for example, the verb is, are, has, have. And then I have 2 levels of this template. I recommend doing it for at least a couple of months, several times a week. Once students feel comfortable with this one, you can move them on to level 2, or you can use these 2 simultaneously if you have several levels of proficiency in the classroom. I also put together these extensions for level 1 and level 2 for more syntax and grammar work. My intention here was to provide more consistent and targeted writing practice, especially for my SLIFE kiddos, but this is helpful for students of any proficiency level. After that, students will share their I see, I think, I wonders. I did include a sentence that says I think it is in, and ask them to put a name of a country. The map is right here on the template because some of my students were just beginning to get used to talking to us. They're too shy to even express what they think is happening, so at least they can say the country that they think it is in, and it still motivates them to then read the reveal to find out if they were right. After they write the I see, I think, I wonder, we read the reveal, which is the text that explains the picture. Let me show you a couple of examples of how I've done it. So for example, this is a picture I found on Facebook. These are the sentences students put together. For example, this was, I think the bunny is hungry and wants the man to wake up. I wonder what will happen next. I think it is in Canada. The text was pretty easy, but I still scaffolded it down just a little and added visual support. I also had very new, fresh beginners in this classroom. These are 3 different languages, French, Spanish, and Japanese. They happen to be all about on the same level of English acquisition. I let them quickly skim through these and then took them right back to the English text. The text that came with this picture, which is from New York Times, what's going on in this picture, is obviously longer, so I did bring it down using artificial intelligence for my STAR students, which is the lower level of proficiency, and then kept most of it for my higher proficiency students and gave them questions so they can work on it independently while I'm working with my STAR students. And you will see a similar situation with other pictures from NewYork.com website. This is the original reveal and this is my scaffolded one. Now in my algorithm, I say you can stop here because you have satisfied your students' curiosity. They read, they wrote, they spoke, and they learned something new, or you can continue working with the text for more language acquisition. But regardless of what I choose to do with the text, I love asking my students to complete because but so exercise or other writing revolution strategies. For example, here, following this picture and the article we read and answered questions about, I had my students write the following. Her iconic stare made Carrie's very popular online because, so they do have to use use the information from the text. Her iconic stare made Kara's very popular online, but her iconic stare made Kara's very popular online. So this is a really, really powerful exercise because students have to put together everything they have learned and to express it in a grammatically correct sentence. In my template, I'm also adding a couple of other structures such as although. This is another one often used in English language in academic texts. And then at the end, I'm also asking them to give their reaction to the text. I was surprised to learn that. I already knew that. The story inspires me too. You are welcome to have my algorithm and a couple of examples absolutely for free. The link will be below. This packet with daily templates for students and with more examples and ready-made assignments for texts are part of a different packet for a small price in my TPT store. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm also very active on Facebook, so you can message me and ask me any questions. I'll be very happy to answer. And happy teaching, everybody!